Hello and welcome to Cahnmann's Current Events Roundtable. Today we are very, very lucky, and should I call you the most extinguished guests? Your Honor, the Mayor of Highland Park, Illinois, and that's Nancy Rodkin Ruttering. And she's the mayor of the city of Highland Park, and we are so very honored to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm
Welcome.
delighted to be here. Wonderful.
And I'd like to tell our viewers a little bit about you, and then we're going to be talking about women in politics.
Okay.
And we're going to try to find out why you entered politics. And before we do that, I just want to give them a little bit about you. You're a resident of Highland Park, you're a parent, you're a community volunteer, you're an advocate, you were a city council member, and now you're the mayor. You are also an attorney and businesswoman. You are a member of the treasurer's staff at General Motors Corporation, and you were in a law office of McDermott, Will, and Emery as an attorney working on health care matters involving corporate transactions, taxation, real estate, and regulation. And you shifted to government work, and you served as a legislative aide to Representative Karen May. Oh my God, you did so many things. I can't believe you have an amazing resume.
Oh,
and how do you do this? I mean, first of all, you're also a mom and a wife and everything else. How did you decide you wanted to go into government?
It really came out of sort of a long-term desire to be an advocate. And it started really with the need for a stop sign so my children could walk to school safely. We had a situation, we gathered the neighbors together, we got our stop sign, and I said, you know, I kind of like this, working on behalf of my community, being able to be a voice for maybe people who don't have the skills to come together and speak up for the things that they believe in. And it just sort of grew from there. And so I was on the Environmental Commission, I was on the Plan Commission, and then I ran for council, and now here I am as mayor.
That is an amazing story. So you started as an attorney.
Right. I was an attorney for 8 years.
Okay, and then you had children?
I had children. It was about the third kid where we moved back to Highland Park where I grew up. And I spent a lot of time being with the boys and getting very involved as a parent. PTO president, soccer coach, Cub Scout leader, pretty much all of that. And then it just sort of grew from there. What can I do beyond my little area of Highland Park? How can I serve my community more broadly? Like I said, I grew up here. It's my hometown. And it's my pleasure to be able to work on behalf of the residents.
Mayor, who was your inspiration? I mean, we don't, at this time, and I noticed Nancy Rodkin Ruttering.
Right.
And there was Hillary
Rodham Clinton. Right.
Do you see yourself possibly going in a direction more than possibly a mayor and maybe into government?
I'm having such a great time as mayor, and there are so many things to do, both at the sort of community level, at the government level, in terms of how our city is moving forward. It's a progressive city. There's a lot going on here. I'm having the best time. I really am. I mean, my house is a pigsty, but I'm having the best time as mayor, and I've got a wonderful council that I work with, 6 terrific people who also feel very strongly about our town, and we're a good team. We have a new city manager, and we're moving in a good direction.
And I see this would be a good impact on women because you don't see as many women in politics. You see, Congress people, Congresswomen, they're starting to come around. We have not seen a vice president yet.
Right.
We haven't seen a president. Other countries have presidents and prime ministers that are women, and so far we haven't had any luck yet for some reason. Why do you feel that women haven't? What is it why haven't more women gone into politics?
I think it's a combination of things, but I think really the biggest challenge, frankly, is money and network. And the opportunity, it's unfortunate, but especially on the federal level, more so than the local level, it's very expensive to run for office. In our current situation, it's very difficult to raise enough money to be a candidate who's out there sufficiently. That's one challenge. And then I think networks also are another piece of it. There's a lot of opportunity for people perhaps to form networks when they're working. In my case, I worked, I stepped out of work, I'm back into the community. It's a little bit more of a disjointed path. And I think people who work together, know each other well, are going to support people that they've worked with for 20 plus years. And that's not necessarily the case for everybody, but I know in my case, there's been a little bit of that sort of hop, skip, and a jump throughout my career.
Right, because women, I think it's what they always call the good old boys network, and it seems like that men in the good old boys sponsor men. And, you know, even in, there was a situation that I wanted to bring up, which was a woman in Congress. She was, in fact, it was a congresswoman. Her name was Catherine May, Republican, Washington, entered the House in 1959. She requested assignment to the Joint Atomic Committee, only to be told that the committee ranking, and also he was Republican, he said, I just can't see a woman on that committee. And it took her 4 terms before she got the committee that she wanted. And she said that other women face the same institutional obstacles. And recently, they formed a Congressman caucus for women's issues to defend their interests and to promote legislation agenda. And why are women told, she was told that just can't see a woman on that committee?
Well, I'm hoping that we've evolved a little bit in the last 50 plus years since that occurred. And I think by virtue of having had now 2 women as secretaries of state, we're moving in a better direction. There are biases, I think, across the board. There are going to be biases with gender, biases with age, biases, unfortunately, for a number of different groups in our populations. And I think really the main goal is we need to be representative of the people. And if you have, for instance, I'm one woman and there are 6 men on the council, and they're all, as I said, terrific teammates, but that's not a representative group of the entire city of Highland Park. Certainly it should be a little bit more balanced. I think we're moving in a good direction, and it's time for us to continue to. I think part of the issue is women feel that they need to be asked to run for office, and so I'll take this opportunity to say, run for office. I'm asking you. Because you shouldn't have to wait to be asked. You should know from within your heart you have the conviction, you have the intelligence, you have the passion, you have the voice. Go out there and run for office.
So you're saying that women kind of wait to be asked, where a man, when he wants to run into office, he says, I'm going to run for state rep, or I'm running for congressperson, or whatever. They just go in and make the decision, and women kind of wait around to be asked?
Well, I don't know that you want to generalize across the entire world, but that is a sense that I've heard from a number of people as well. Nobody asked me to run. Well, so here, now you've all been asked.
Very good. Well, and also I just went to a lecture just recently with Catherine Johns, she used to be on radio many, many years ago, and it was very interesting. But she did a workshop on trying to empower women the way they talk, because women have a tendency when they're talking to other women, they apologize. I mean, instead of saying, that's a cute, a very nice jacket that you're wearing, and a woman will say, this old thing, rather than saying, hey, thank you, I'm glad you like it, and I like it too. Women have the tendency to apologize, which is, as she said, it's putting you in a one-down position. Mm-hmm. Whenever you apologize or you minimize something, you're putting yourself down. And a lot of times women, at the end of a conversation, they'll say, that's, they just, oh, really? Their voice goes up like a question. Mm-hmm. And rather than, I noticed when you speak, you're very direct. In fact, when I talked to you the other day on the telephone, I thought this was great. 1, 2, 3, you accomplished so many things in just within 10, 15 minutes, you had everything down pat. And
I think it's because I live with 5 guys, and I got to make sure I get my point across.
But I'm wondering if that is something that women have difficulty with, maybe getting their point across, or they doubt themselves, or they're always apologizing for some reason or other. I wonder, maybe that's from, old school, or, women were meant to do that, or not meant to do it, but, kind of learn maybe from their mothers, and their mothers learn from their grandmothers. We don't take compliments well, and we're always apologizing.
I think we're working on it. I really do. I think an interesting development, again, in the last few decades has been bringing more women into sports. And I think by virtue of being into sports and having confidence that grows from being in competition and being part of a team, people are less inclined to feel self-conscious or kind of withdraw within themselves because they know in competition they have to be out there. So, you know, Title IX many moons ago, I think, has brought a new generation of women to the fore who maybe are a little less apologetic and feel a little bit more comfortable as individuals.
What happened to, you know, we spoke very shortly on women like Hillary Clinton, that, you know, why she possibly didn't become the president. Right. You know, what did she do, or how do people, you know, when a man goes in, when he's running, they don't talk about, oh, look at their hair, or look at their, you know, maybe John Edwards, because
he has such fabulous hair.
Yeah, and it would always be mirror, mirror on the wall. Besides other things about him, I'm not sure.
Another
day about John Edwards. But what is it about women that, you know, that were judged, you know, by it was Michelle Bachmann, and it was Sarah Palin, right, and Hillary Clinton. When they were running, the media seemed to judge them differently.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I really agree. I think that's kind of odd that people are judged based on their hair or their pantsuit or their, you know, makeup or whatever the case may be, as opposed to what's coming out of their mouths. I'll give you that one. I think the media needs to look at how it portrays women versus men. There's no question.
I think it's portrayed them they made fun of them.
It diminishes their position.
Right.
It diminishes their point of view.
And here Hillary was a brilliant woman. I think, you know, I don't know. Probably my viewers are going to. I think she's maybe smarter than her husband. I mean,
well,
he was
she went to Wellesley, she went to Yale, not bad.
He's a very smart man, but I think she's brilliant.
Right.
And and why she was judged the way she was judged. She was wearing her pantsuits. Oh, and she had about her blue pantsuit and her purple pantsuit and her pink pantsuit. Instead of judging her about what she was trying to get across.
Right.
And
so maybe we'll hear from her in a few years. Maybe she'll be next up in 2016 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why we can't see women and why we can't view women in a different perspective. Right. Why is it that they're, you know,
it looks first and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
And, you know, also that women bring a different perspective to the decision-making process, and they arise out of different experience out of life than of men. Do you see that your perspective of things, maybe because you had to take care, you know, your children, and the way you grew up, do you see a different perspective of things than?
I don't know that I see a different perspective per se. I particularly note that my colleagues are also very involved with their families, very concerned about their schools, very focused on their community. There's no question, and I don't know that you can have a gender difference on those two pieces. But I do know that as a mother of four, I will look at certain things particularly relating to collaborative efforts. You know, it's not just the city, the schools, the park district, and so on. I see it as my kids and all of us really are part of this larger community. And that's something I know that we as a council have been working on, is just sort of the more global view. And also a desire really to continue to be an advocate for those who don't have a voice. Because as a parent, whether you're a mother or a father, and maybe as a mother, that's all I know. You know, being an advocate for my children, I then take those skills and bring them to City Hall and feel that it does take a village to raise a child. This is our hometown. We all need to take care of each other and speak as an advocate that way. You know, and since you've been a mayor, you've been a mayor for how long? 1 year.
1 year, and look at all the things you have accomplished in 1 year. And I was reading through the paper, Port Clinton garage repairs underway, fire safety issues at closed garage, theater, the electricity.
Right.
You're getting electrical rates starting this summer. You're trying to save residents money by looking elsewhere. Tell a little bit about the programs. And I mean, I think that's a lot for somebody that's only been here for 1 year. And you have you've taken underway so many different things. I mean, you're really very proactive. I'm wondering, that's why I think it would be good to have a woman president. She would finally see things in a different perspective.
Possibly, possibly. Right.
I think, I don't want to put men down because I love men, of course. I'm married to my husband, and I love him very much. However, sometimes women see things, they're more, they just see things in a different perspective. Men sometimes are a little bit more black and white, and women see all around a little bit more, and maybe that's what's needed. The countries that have had females presidents and prime ministers, they've had a different viewpoint, like even in Germany and England and Israel and India and Pakistan, over and over and over. It's a little bit different governing. And tell me a little bit about all these things that you're doing for Highland Park right now, and how you started this, how you found, like, for instance, I'm always in the garage, when I go to a movie I'm in the garage. How did you find violations? How did you know that what made you see something maybe at the Highland Park Theater that wasn't right?
Interestingly, and maybe this is the women's side of things, reliable sources were sort of bringing information to me and to others on the council that they thought was important concerning some city-owned facilities. And we asked a few questions, got answers that were sort of belying these reliable tips that we were receiving. And it got to a point where we all sat down and said, let's see what's really going on. Let's just have an independent group come in, see what the story is. And so that's how we ended up with this sort of independent inspection of these 4 city facilities: the Golf Dome, the Carger Center, the Highland Park Movie Theater, and the Port Clinton Underground Garage. And it was in the course of those inspections that the sprinklers became an issue. That was sort of a first round look at everything. We were looking at alarms, we were looking at sprinklers, we were looking at emergency lighting and so on. The other 2 were fine and didn't have emergency needs, but these 2, the fire chief felt were in immediate need of having to be stabilized. And these inspections to date hadn't been his bailiwick. It had been out of a different department in the city. So since then, we've had more involvement on his behalf. And I'm pleased to tell you, I was down at the garage last Sunday. They are working around the clock. They're looking to have it open, I think, within the week, at least part of it, which is great because it's such a critical part of our downtown. It's important for the employers, it's important for the retail businesses, it's also important, obviously, for the residents. So our goal really was, let's get this almost heartbeat of our economy back up and running as quickly as possible. So that should be completed, hopefully within the next week or so. The movie theater had a little bit more complexity involved with it. And so I've been in touch with my city manager today. We're looking at who do we bring in as a fire safety engineer who can give us an assessment in terms of what needs to be done to reopen the movie theater safely. Because that really, at the end of the day, is the bottom line, public safety. There's no negotiating public safety. It's an absolute. And then following that information, the council will then sort of look at what our options are, because we're in the process really of trying to sell it to somebody who's going to come in and develop this area, continue to have some entertainment in that space, but I don't see us as necessarily wanting to be pouring a whole lot of money into a situation that could very likely be changing within the next few months to a year. So we'll see what happens.
That's good, because I know when I used to go to the Highland Park Theater, I never felt, especially when you're on the upstairs, I never felt safe. I always felt, you always wonder, is there sprinklers? In case there's a fire or something, can you get out safely?
Right.
I always knew when I'm downstairs, in the main theater, I know the doors were open, I can make a run for it out the back. Then there was the ones that were all the way down at the other end,
right.
But there was also a situation, especially for a person that, say, has a handicap,
Right.
And where you have to, and I know I have a knee replacement coming up soon, but so I know what it is to have a handicap, and you wonder if there was a fire and you have to work that long, walk would people in
Be able to get
wheelchairs
out.
be able to get out?
right.
But the one that concerned me the most was the upstairs. There's no elevator.
Right.
And if you had to, you say you walked with a walker, you had a wheelchair or something, and you had to get up those stairs one step at a time.
Right.
How would you get down if there
Right.
was a fire?
Right. And at one point, that was part of the tour, we took the second exit out of that upstairs theater, and the back door was rusted shut. We couldn't open it, the emergency door. I think there was enough there that we can work with, but for the moment, it needed to be closed, unfortunately. And we love it. It's a beautiful facade. The inside could use a little sprucing up, but really, it's a matter of efficient use of our tax dollars, using them appropriately. I think we all want to get the theater up and running if we can as quickly as possible, but we also don't want to waste money. And so we'll have to take a look and get the facts.
So, and also your electricity, what is it that you're going to be doing with the electrical? I mean, are you with Commonwealth Edison? Do you find that there's other people, other companies that can do it a lot cheaper, or how can you? In fact, how can we get Commonwealth Edison to compete with all those other companies popping up right now? Maybe they will lower their rates.
Well, that sort of has occurred, and under a new law in Illinois, the energy itself could be purchased from alternate suppliers. We are still using ComEd under an agreement for the transmission and the distribution of electricity, but the actual electricity itself is now available through a number of sources. The city joined 7 other towns, neighboring towns, and sort of aggregated our volume purchasing power. I think we had 50 or 60,000 customers going out together to say, all right, we're looking for the best price for our electricity. And so that happened, and we picked a group called MC Squared, and that's how we ended up getting discounted electricity in our bill. So you have 3 pieces in your electric bill.
yeah,
So
because-
that's where the 41%
Yeah, because
savings
Commonwealth
comes in.
Edison sounds like they had a monopoly on all our electricity, and everything's going up, and it's hard for people that are on limited budgets and are
Absolutely.
seniors, or
Right.
people with what's happening with the economy right now, and it's a tough. A lot of people can't pay their mortgages, and
Right.
they need
Right.
electricity. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Anything we can do to help people
Abs-
relieve their economic burden, and not to mention, I don't think it's a secret, I haven't been a fan of ComEd and their performance last summer, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that this summer they'll do a better job as storms come through of bringing us back up.
All
But in
right,
the meantime,
yes, because when you don't have electricity, we had that in our area, no electricity, and not only was my landline not working, but my cell phone, I couldn't, it wouldn't, we lost the cell phone capability
as well.
connections
Right,
too.
right.
And so I was worried about, God forbid, there was my husband had a heart attack or
Oh,
something in the
yeah.
middle of the night. How would I call an ambulance?
you really
And-
feel isolated when the power
Yeah.
and everything goes out.
and then on top of that, I have an electric door, and that was
Right.
an opening. And you could do it manually if you're strong.
Right.
But if you're not that strong, those doors are pretty heavy. So
Absolutely.
the door was locked shut, couldn't get the car out,
Right.
no electricity, no cell phone, and no landline.
Right, right.
So you feel kind of trapped.
You feel absolutely trapped. And it's important to get sort of neighborhood groups together because we live in the Midwest. The storms will come back. People need to look out for each other. I don't know if people know the township does well-being checks. And if you sign up with Moraine Township, they will come by and check on you and make sure you're okay on a regular basis.
Oh, that's good. I don't think I have that in Highwood.
Okay. You're in Moraine
No,
Township.
but
in
oh,
Highwood.
that's right. That's right.
Give
I'm in
them a
Moraine
call.
Township. That's
You're part
right.
of the township.
Who's been your inspiration in politics? Who are you? Who do you look up to? And it doesn't have to be somebody now. It could be somebody from way back. Is there anybody that you've taken your inspiration from?
It's not necessarily in politics. It's actually just in life. My parents have been terrific. They were the ones who, from a very young age, taught me to speak my mind. If I saw something wrong that needed to be fixed, to speak out, to if possible, to take action to fix it. That was just sort of ingrained in us from a very, very early age, and also to take care of each other, to serve our neighbors, to be a good member of society. I mean, I think most parents hopefully teach their children those lessons, and that really is where it has all come from. It really has.
Were your parents active in their politics? Were they active in maybe neighborhood things, did you say? That
They were active in the community, absolutely.
So you got your inspiration from somebody to be who you are today.
Right.
I mean, you're the mayor, and you should be very proud of it. And it also your children. I mean, I'm sure your children, you know, when they look at, oh, my mom's the mayor.
I think
you
they're a
know?
little mortified, to be honest with you.
Mortified.
Who's that? I've never met her in my life.
They ignore you.
Right. Don't pay attention to that woman over there.
But it's an inspiration. I think you're giving, you know, you have sons, right?
I have 4 sons.
Oh, you have no daughters, no daughters.
Not even a girl dog. That's why I have to be direct in my
But that's good. She's showing the boys that, you know, a woman can do something, you know, a woman can become strong, and a woman, you know, and I think other women need, like, they have, in fact, in one of the things that I read, there are support groups and they have support for candidates, for women candidates. They have classes to how to perform and what to do, what to look out for. I think that's really good too.
It is. I was fortunate to be part of a group called the Illinois Women's Institute for Leadership, which is a group that chooses 12 women from across Illinois and encourages them to run for public office. Loretta Durbin started it, and I was very fortunate to be part of it. Susan Garrett and Karen May recommended me for the program, and I really gained a lot from it, both network-wise and technique.
Tell just a little bit about it, the program.
That's in sum and substance. That's pretty much what it is. It helps women become motivated and encouraged to run for office, and then gives them the skills and the knowledge.
How do they motivate women? Is there a way that they, you know, that they encourage women? Is there a certain technique that they use, or?
Oh, I think anybody who's in that program is already a self-starter and pretty interested in and of themselves. But again, to your point, having role models such as Karen May, Susan Garrett, Elaine Nekritz, and so on, these are people who take it to a public service. It's not about politics. It's about serving the public, serving the people, and that speaks to me. It speaks to a lot of women, and again, I encourage people who have that desire to come forth.
And I always noticed it, you know, one of the, you know, like especially Karen May, she used to be at every event. Every time I went to an event, there was Karen.
Right,
And I think people need to know who their people are. They have to know who their Congress people are.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not somebody that's just hiding in an office somewhere. And you know, I noticed from my camera people said we had 2 minutes left, and I just want to read one little thing, and that was something: it will always take all kinds of women to make up a world, and only now and then will they unite their interests. And when they do, I think it is safe to say that something historically will happen. And that was Eleanor Roosevelt, Women in Politics.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And I think she was one of the first women that, I wish she had run for office. She would have made
She would have
it.
been fabulous.
She would have been a fabulous president.
Right.
And she has also been the one to encourage women as well.
Right.
She's had a lot of, all her writings and everything is on empowering women. And I see our credits are rolling down, Nancy. And I want to thank Nancy Rodkin-Rottering, Mayor of Highland Park, Illinois, for coming on our show and really empowering women. And I think she's one of our first people that I've had on as women in politics. And we want to get more people, more women on the show to really talk about how they are going to be in politics, what they see for women in politics, and how we could empower women in politics. And Nancy, again, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Being direct, telling the way it is, and getting it the way it should be done. I want to thank you very, very much, and I invite you back again to be one of our guests with Women in Politics.
I'd be delighted. Thank
you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to the viewers out there, and to really see that women really do and can be a very, very strong leader and will be there for you when you need them. So again, thank you.